Hello Capricorn, this is Luke Vulgarakis from LV Life and welcome to your tarot reading for the year of 2024. Now this is for Sun, Moon and Rising signs of Capricorn. I'm actually a Capricorn rising, so I'm intrigued to see what comes out. So I'll begin with 3 cards and that will summarise what happened between 23 and 24, this transition period that we're in at the moment as I record this. And then we'll be looking at the 12 months of the year for 24. And finally, I'll do an overview with a few extra cards. Let's see what we've got. This table is really shaking as I shuffle. I need to remember not to lean on it. Excuse me. So the first 3 that have come out to summarize this overview, we start with the Empress card. So we have the Empress and it's in its reverse position. So Empress really is around divine femininity and really taking ownership of that and being in control of that. In this reverse position, I'm wondering if you spent 23 a little bit in the masculine. And what I mean by that is not male, but we all have this balance of masculine and feminine energy. So I'm wondering if 23's been a little bit headstrong, perhaps a little bit frictious, a little bit go-getting. Perhaps it's just been very on, like very full on. And the Empress card is very much about moving into the softer elements, moving into this feminine energy of stepping back, taking time to reflect, to review, to perceive, to look at the darkness, to honor the light, to really use moon energy, really, which is very feminine. But also this Empress card is very much about love, self-love, worth. So I feel perhaps that maybe you've had a more masculine heavy year. However, there's part of you that's been looking at that perhaps maybe towards the latter part of the year and challenging things and moving inwards a little bit more and really starting to understand this concept or this need of self-love. So I'm not saying that to say that we've achieved it or that we have it, I find a bit silly because life isn't as straightforward as that. But I feel like you've just been on this path all year where maybe perhaps towards the end you've gone, maybe I need to focus on myself a bit more. Maybe I need to step back a bit more. Maybe it's time to retreat and look at myself and like practice some self-care, some self-worth, some inner work, whatever. But I think that you're only towards the end of the year have you started to consider that that's a thing that you need to do. Perhaps you weren't in that mindset earlier in the year. And then we move towards this 6 of Pentacles. And 6 of Pentacles, you can see there's balance, right? So when we're talking, if we look at the previous card, about this masculine feminine energy, when you step into that feminine, you are starting to bring back the balance. But also this is Pentacles, which are more in relation to the physical aspects of the world. So I wonder if you are trying to refine like a work-life balance or I just work-life balance is sticking. So, is there a case of part of this kind of Empress energy that you're starting to discover in the latter part of this year is about bringing balance back into your life? Perhaps your earlier year wasn't particularly balanced, and that's still that masculine energy, that go, go, go energy. So yeah, there's definitely a need for balance. And I think, the old cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup. I think that once you find that balance, once you refill your cup a little bit, you're able to do better things in the world. You're able to be more productive. You're able to support more people, but you can't do that if you're burnt out, right? So I think that this is the lesson, kind of the latter part of 23 for you. And then that really comes with our 3rd card here, the Strength card, again in reverse. It's very much this inner strength, the taming the lion, the taming the inner critic, right? So I think that it's taken something like an inner awakening or a realization or a light bulb moment that's just said, I need to do this and I need to do it now. And I need to shut down those voices in my head that say things like, I can't do this, I don't have time for this, or life's too busy, or I need to focus on this or that, or my career, or these people. I think this is that version of inner strength coming where you're saying, no, I can't do any of that external stuff until I've physically and mentally rested myself and restored myself. So yeah, I think that the message here, this transition between 23 and 24, is restoration. So I hope that that resonates so far. I've just been cuddling this because my hands are freezing. I'm not actually drinking it at the moment, it's too hot. So let me bring out your cards for every month of 24. So obviously starting with January. Oh, we've got two there, so we'll have January and February. March. April's sticking out. Ooh la la, April. I'll tell you about it in a minute. May. June. July. August. September. October. November. December. Oh, lots of major arcana going on there. It's going to be a fun year for Capricorn. Let's see what we've got. Okay. So we'll start in January. Janvier. Only thing I remember in French other than bâton de colle, which I think is a glue stick. Don't remember much else about French class. So here we are. We are starting here with this Nine of Pentacles. Now, Nine of Pentacles is an interesting one. It's you know that phrase, the bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. It's kind of a little bit like that. It's about in January taking stock of what you actually have, because actually if you look at this, like from a physical perspective, got a lot. Like financially, you're okay. You got a roof over your head. You got income, whatever. You know, all of the physical aspects of the world are actually all right. Um, and sometimes we can think, we can worry about stuff that actually isn't in reality all that real. And so I think January is this time for recognizing what you have and realizing that actually you're all right, you're safe, everything is good. And that, I think, will help take some of the pressure off of the things that we've just talked about, like this internal pressure where you're thinking you should do more, or you need to keep going, or you need to plow on or plow through. I think actually January is a realization of, I'm all right, actually, I can afford to focus on what I've got and not strive for more for a moment, but just be really grateful for what I've got. Then we move into February. I think that also, just off the back of that, is going to allow you for a bit of freedom, just that recognizing what you have. And then we move into January and we've got this Six of Cups. This card's really cute, right? So we've got these two little kids sniffing daisies that are growing out of cups. And so as an adult, if we saw daisies growing out of a cup, we'd be like, oh, that's a bit weird. But as a child, you don't question stuff. You just embrace it for what it is. You just think, oh, that's curious, that's interesting, that's exciting. And cups can really represent relationships. And I think that this is you. The things that have stressed you out from 2023, perhaps they're people related. And if you're thinking work, perhaps it's like team related or something, or, pain in the ass boss or whatever. But this is your opportunity in February to take a step back and say, how can I approach these people, these relationships, with curiosity? How can I approach them like a child rather than judging them or thinking that there's something wrong with them or weird with them? How can I look at that with curiosity and interest and say, oh, this is interesting. I wonder why. I wonder what the background is here. I wonder how you are the way that you are. I wonder what lens you have, but a real curiosity aspect, not a judgment aspect. So I think that a lot of the word de-shedding has come to mind of beliefs for you in January and February, like de-shedding this belief that you need to always achieve and strive for more when actually you've got enough, and de-shedding this belief that other people are, you know, a pain in the backside or getting in your way or you know, not doing as they should or whatever. De-shedding those beliefs and actually saying, well, maybe they are the way that they are for a reason. Maybe I can look at that with curiosity and openness rather than judgment. So yeah, I think that there's a big mindset shift that has been coming for a while and is kind of in fruition in the latter part of 23, the early part of 2024. And then when we get to March we have the Justice card. I mean, there's a clue in the title, Justice, but this was in reverse as well. I feel like justice would be, for me, it's often about external factors in the world that you don't necessarily have control of, but that impact your life, such as contracts or legal matters or rulings or law or I don't know, whatever. Anything that is a aspect that's out of your control but affects you. In this reverse position, I think that this is more internally around internal justice rather than external matters happening. I guess what I'm trying to say in a funny roundabout way is that you don't always need an answer or a solution or a closure. Sometimes you just don't get those things. And I feel like if you're seeking closure for a matter that has been out of your control, but you feel has been unjust, that maybe you won't receive that. And maybe you have to internally satisfy yourself of that matter rather than relying on the external world to give you a solution or an outcome or an apology, you know? So I think if I look at these previous two cards, particularly the February one, if there's been shit going down at work, for example, and it's people related, and they need to get their comeuppance or they need to be performance managed or dealt with or whatever, you may not get a solution to that. And I think that this is what this February card previously was about. It's, you know, actually just approaching those people with curiosity and wonder rather than judging them. And I think that's going to really help you find that internal peace around these situations. So, you know, not a matter that's yours to control, but you can control the way that you feel about it, if that makes sense. And then we move on to April. Da da da. We've got the Tower card. This is interesting, right? So don't fear the Tower. It's wonderful. It looks terrifying, but the point of a tower is a rebirth. So we have this tower that comes crumbling down. In life, we build these towers. We say, you know, I want this for my life. I want my life to look this way. I want to achieve this or do this or have this. And we put all the building blocks in to make that stuff happen. And sometimes that whole tower comes crumbling down and everything that we thought we wanted and that we've worked towards or we've achieved just goes kaput. And it feels like the end of the world, but it is not. Because the tower clears the path for something new, for something better, for something that's more in alignment with you. So what I'm saying is that whatever goes down in April, the universe has a far greater imagination than you do. And it is going to lead you to something far more in alignment with what you want and what you want to be. So I've talked quite a lot about work in this particular reading so far, and maybe there's a reason. So let's say, for example, that, you know, you leave your job in April and then you feel a bit lost or like the tower's come down or everything you worked towards is gone. Don't fret, because it really is leading you to something way better. But you've done the good part in this reading is that in January, February, you've really started to do that internal work. And the back of 23, you've been doing that internal work to have the strength to allow the tower to fall. You don't need to hold it up anymore. So yeah, it's exciting times in January, not terrifying, exciting. Did I say January? I meant April. I don't know what I said. I'll rewind it and have a look later. And then we move on to May. And we've got the Nine of Swords, again reversed, right? This person's got their head in their hands. They look like they're in despair, but they're not. They are in relief. All of these 9 swords, these battles and challenges are hung up on the wall. That means they're done. They're not active, they're done. And you're weeping in relief and you're taking a rest in your bed here. Because the physicality of the challenges has finished. And now you need to rest and you need to process. That's why these are hung up, because they still have lessons to learn from them, but they're not physically active. So it's time to rest and recuperate and reflect. Don't go rushing into something else. Rest, recuperate, and reflect in May. June, now we talked about this tower, right, in April. June, we've got the Moon card. And we talked about the Empress earlier as well. The Moon, again, this femininity, this feminine energy. But the Moon can be dark, can be messy, can be tricky, right? It's got all these like kind of crabs and rabid-looking dogs and other things. That's not a crab, it's a lobster, sorry. Kind of, and these flames coming down from the sun. But those are the messy parts of life. But between the 2 towers, one tower has fallen, you're on your way to the next. You're figuring out your path to your next tower. So again, this is not a thing to fret or thing to fear. This is a thing to embrace, this new journey towards your new tower. It came out in reverse as well. So for me, it's the internal journey where the work is required, not the physicalities of the world. Remember, in January, you learnt that physically you're fine. Right? So this is the internal journey. Figuring out how to muddle through what's getting in your way, what is clearing the path, how do you get from one tower to another. It's an exciting journey in June. July, you're going to have to take a few gambles or risks, right? We've got the Wheel of Fortune. So the Wheel of Fortune is exactly as it says. It's a wheel that you spin and fortuitous things can happen. I don't think fortuitous is a word. Fortuitous? I don't know. Correct me in the comments. But like good stuff can happen when you spin that wheel, but also there's like some snakes and this devil-looking character around the edge. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, right? It's in this reverse position. Again, the internal work on this. You have to spin the Wheel of Fortune. You have to take risks and chances. You have to be vulnerable with your emotions and allow that to be a thing that you're comfortable with. Take the risk, put yourself out there emotionally. And some things will pay off and some things won't, but either way, it's perfect, because one way you're going to learn and the other way you're going to embrace and enjoy. So, yeah, it's time to start being a little less risk averse, a little more emotionally vulnerable. So there's quite a journey going on like early summer for you. So that was July. Then we get to August. Devil card in reverse. The devil is this temptation, right? And if you look, there are chains around the necks of these 2 people, and the nudity represents fear of exposure. Reason I was using vulnerability so much in the previous card, the Wheel of Fortune, is because this sits next to it. And nudity represents vulnerability. But there's these chains around their neck that are chained to this door that sits beneath the devil. You need to go through that door, right? But to do that, you need to release the chains from the devil. The devil is this temptation, and this is internal. This is going back to old habits, old thought processes, old mindset, Often when we grow, we start to challenge our belief systems. We start to challenge who we think that we are or thought that we were or would like to be. And sometimes it gets a bit scary. And sometimes we think, oh, I'm just being stupid, I'm being foolish, this is all nonsense, what do I think I'm doing? And we get dragged back to these old mindsets. We get tempted back to this old way of thinking that wasn't actually working for us, but it's our comfort zone, is our safety, because it's all we've ever known. So it's a little warning to not allow your mind to drag you backwards, that you can release those chains. When you look in the picture, the chains are loose around the necks, they're not tight. You just need to take off the chains and walk through the door, leaving that devil, that temptation behind. So it's a very internalized journey through the summer for you. Lots of inner work to be done, important inner work, really important inner work. And let me tell you why it's so important. Because in September, you have this Ace of Swords, a victory card. And you can literally see this sword being held up here, this crown being displayed upon it, and this hand coming out of the cloud. The hand coming out of the cloud, for me, always represents a gift from the universe. And I think there are some things that just sit on our timeline that are waiting for us. They're just waiting for that moment that we're ready, and they drop in. So I think that once you've done your internal work, the victory drops in, is ready and waiting for you, and it lands for you in September. So there's exciting things happening in September. Everything's going to start to make sense. The not why is it happening to me, but the why is it happening for me will make sense in September. As something drops into your world of victory that is really going to serve you. It's the thing that's been waiting to be delivered to you. So all of the stickiness and uncomfortableness of the summer is going to lead you to something wonderful in September. So it's all worth it. And then we come to the Death card in October. And the Death doesn't mean death, or kind of, not literal death, but the death of something, the death of mindsets, the death of a situation or a circumstance that isn't serving you. It's the end of something, right? But it came out in this reverse position. So it's the end of you holding yourself back. And it's the start of you moving yourself forward. We've got this priest-like figure here, and again, right in the background, we've got these two towers and the sun between. It's no coincidence that this sits directly below the moon card in this spread that has the two towers, and that you had the tower card come up as well. Literally all of the towers that are featured in the oracle deck, in the tarot deck, are sat in this spread. This is absolutely about your transition and your journey. And the sun is shining here, right? So whatever the death of this thing is, and I do think it's the death of your, we use the word destructive, mindsets, thought patterns, the darkness inside you that holds you back. I think it's the death of all of that and the start of something new and wonderful. As part of that process in November, you're going to have to make a decision. We've got the Two of Swords. The thing about this, right, is the thing in this decision-making process that's holding you back is this blindfold. The only thing that holds you back when it comes to making a decision is you overthinking it. This blindfold represents you moving internally and really overthinking a decision. You've just got to make a decision. So whatever this decision is in November, it's exciting because it doesn't really matter which way you make it. It's leading, it's part of this Ace of Swords energy that you have for September. It's part of this thing that's been waiting for you. But you have to make a decision to step into it properly and fully, which comes with, and we've had this today already, the Judgment card, the nudity. So this is December in reverse. It's getting over that fear of exposure, that fear of being vulnerable, So all of this year, sorry, this is a winged character here. And always when I see these winged characters, I feel like from a divine perspective, this is meant to happen for you, this whole journey. Um, Everything about your 2024 is talking about internal growth, leading you to a place that is far greater than you could imagine yourself. And a place where you're safe to feel vulnerable. Perhaps you've never felt vulnerable in your whole life and it's uncomfortable, but this is very much a vulnerability mission for 2024, which is the most freeing and beautiful thing. So big shifts for you in 24, big shifts. Let's just do an overview. Okay, for the overview, start here, the Eight of Cups. Do you know what? And I can't see from, you can't see from where you are, but we keep getting this moon and sun energy. It's on the moon card as well, and it's on this one. I saw it in another one earlier. Oh, and then you've got the moon in the Two of Swords. So it's all of this balancing energy. It's all of this understanding that the world isn't just one thing, and the way that you operate isn't just in one way. When we look at these cups, and this was in reverse, this is you really sorting out your mindset. This is your emotions. And being able to sort your mindset out so much that that it's like strong and solid, that when you have to turn away from it, or you have to go and forget about it, or get distracted by it, or do something else, that your mindset is still strong and solid there, and your internal committee is like your team, your support network. So that's very much what we've talked about, a lot of the inner work being done. Then that comes to the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups isn't going into battle, but it's coming back from battle victorious, which is, again, what we've talked about through all of this. So there's definitely a victory for you. I do think that suggests it might be from a relationships perspective as well. There's a lot of cups going on for you. And then here we've got the High Priestess. So we started with the Empress, we end with the High Priestess. Is that not a weird coincidence? The feminine energies. And again, this moon. You've got so much moon energy and feminine energy coming up in these cards. And the darkness and the light represented in these two pillars are the masculine and feminine energies again. And when you balance those, like the veil that's kind of behind here starts to like it could be dropped, it could be released, and you can see what's waiting for you. So yeah, it's very much a year of internal growth and starting to balance the external world with the internal world, and then something being presented to you that's been waiting on your timeline for you for a while. So it's exciting. You have to do the work, but it's exciting. It's an exciting year. So yeah, very much look forward to hearing what that's about. Please do leave me a message or a comment to let me know. And throughout the year, I love to know what's going on with people. So yeah, this is really wonderful. Very excited by it for you. Now, if you want a personalised version of this, I'm doing that for £24 for 2024. So I'll do your reading for that price, this exact reading, but personalised for you. And I can do that on a video call or recorded message, or we can meet in person at my Wellbeing Centre in Fareham. And also on the 4th of February at my Wellbeing Centre, I am hosting a Learn Tarot with Luke course, so that you can learn the way that I teach tarot, which is intuitively, not necessarily working with just the textbook meanings of the cards. So I'll pop all the links in the comments and description to make sure that you know how to access that and to contact me. And I very much wish you a wonderful 24. Take care, Capricorn. Bye-bye.